Oh my God, I was just at Starbucks and I almost crashed out. Shut up. No, you did not. You did not almost crash out. So in the past couple of months, you have probably heard the term crash out. On the internet, especially on TikTok, the term has skyrocketed in use, usually to describe someone who gets angry, has an outburst, or just likes to fight. But to me, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. The term crash out comes from the slang term crash dummy. That means a person that does not care about the well-being of neither themselves or the people around them. Every time I hear the word now, it feels like another case of a term gaining mainstream popularity, getting modernized, and losing its original meaning. This happens often when the average suburban white kid thinks some term sounds cool, but since they can't relate to its deeper origins, they turn it into some joke. This is how the phrase crash out lost its original meaning and gained a new one.
Crashing out is no longer mean what it means no more. Crashing out used to mean that you did something that put you in a way worse situation for something that you could just avoid it because you're too emotional and you didn't have to do that. There was no reason to do that. For example, road rage. Let's say a nigga got his car. Let's say somebody cut him off. But he didn't get hit, nobody's car got hit, nothing. Let's say somebody got cut off, but you had a red light. It wasn't even that close because nigga had touched your bumper, nothing like that person stood in front of you. Crashing out in my back of my day meant nigga got out the car, walked up to the car with a gun, punched the nigga window and shot him in his face for cutting him off. That's a crash out. Another crash out situation. You got a nigga that's trying to take a hoe and be with her for life. He knows that she a hoe. She tells you she want to be with, she's fucking dudes, and then he catches a dude with her like she telling him like yeah, with another nigga. He killing a nigga over a hoe. That's not really his girlfriend. That's a crash out. You like nigga, what the fuck are you crashing out over a hoe? That's not even yours. That's crashing out. Nowadays, a nigga will go into McDonald's and be like, hey, my man, ask for no pickles on my burger. Can I get another burger? He crashing out McDonald's right now. No, I'm not. I just like no pickles on my burger. I just get another double cheeseburger. I ain't crashing out. I'm not killing nobody here. I just want double cheeseburger, no pickles, man. Nowadays, y'all say anything is crashing out. That's not crashing out. What are we talking about?
Now, I'm not here to say that this is necessarily a bad thing or to criticize anybody that uses the word this way. I use it like this too, but I do think that there's a disconnect happening here. Like, to give an example, when you hear Kendrick say, if you crash out, then you better break the backboard. Do you truly understand what he's saying? Do you know what it truly means to crash out? Today, we're taking a deep dive into the classic film Juice, and we'll be analyzing the main antagonist, Bishop, who can definitely be crowned as the OG crash out. Juice is a crime thriller about four boys, Raheem, Q, Steele, and Bishop, as they navigate life in Harlem in the pursuit of power and respect, or as the film coins it, juice. The poster for the film poses the question, how far will you go to get it? And this is best answered through the lens of Bishop, who is played by Tupac. From the start, Bishop is shown to be the hothead of the group, but his perspective on what it means to have the juice differs from his friends. When we first meet Bishop, the film subtly shows us what drives him. We see his father, a victim of sexual assault suffering from PTSD after being released from jail. As a young black teen growing up, this deeply affects Bishop's mentality. The next time we see him, he is getting pressed by a local gang in his neighborhood. Through dialogue, it becomes clear that none of the other main characters seem to be dealing with this harassment the way Bishop does.
You can't even walk your own block without getting fucked up by rider mates, let's not forget.
The early moments establish why Bishop will soon become the film's main antagonist. Through his experiences in his neighborhood and home life, he feels as if his life is in the hands of other people. His dream is to take control of his own destiny. We get a key scene of the group sitting together while Bishop watches the film White Heat. He is fascinated by the ending, where the man dies on his own terms, engulfed in flames. This foreshadows Bishop's mentality for the rest of the film.
If you gotta go out, that's how you go out. That motherfucker took his destiny in his own hands.
At this point, Juice still feels like a coming-of-age hood film, but everything changes when Raheem gets his hands on a gun, and the boys make the plan to rob their local corner store. What was supposed to be a simple robbery turns deadly when, after getting the money, Bishop shoots the owner in the head in cold blood. And just when you think things couldn't get any worse, after they run away, Raheem tries to take the gun from Bishop, and Bishop shoots him too, killing him. After this, the film takes a sharp turn from being the standard black crime film to something that feels like a horror film. Bishop starts to act like Michael Myers, popping up at random times to scare his friends and exert his power over them. The film visually changes to reflect Bishop's transformation, and at the center of it all is the gun. The moment that he gets his hands on the gun, he finally feels like his dreams of controlling his own fate can come true. I want to add that most of the character analyzations that I see of Bishop kind of paint him as crazy and acting completely reckless. And I think this is completely true. But I feel like the thing that people don't talk about is how Bishop is an insecure character. Everything that he does is in response to stereotypes of what he is supposed to be as a black man. He feels like he is beneath the other people in his neighborhood because he does not have the juice. He has fears of never having it because he is afraid of becoming like his father, who he sees as someone that did not have control over their life. And he believes that if he does not react the way that he does in the film, that he will become just like him. He sees the gun as his way out. But I can also say that the gun kind of possesses Bishop in a way that makes him not only have the power to control his own destiny, but he now also wants to be in control of others' destinies as well. He starts to feel this sadistic pleasure of killing people he had once seen as above him. He kills the man that owned the convenience store that in the beginning of the movie pointed a gun at the main cast when they were fighting in front of his store. He then kills Raheem, who was seen as the group leader who he feels was getting in the way of letting him act how he wanted to. And then he kills the gang leader in the neighborhood who would bully and harass him. After feeling this power over someone, he finally feels like he has the juice. Bishop's character honestly reminds me of this character from one of my favorite books, Vinland Saga. Yes, come on y'all know I'm a nerd. I had to tie it in here somewhere. So in Vinland Saga, we have one of my favorite characters named Canute, who has just become the King of England, and after a small time of receiving the crown, he starts to have hallucinations of his father, who was the old king. He warns him of the curse that comes with bearing the crown, where you start to act out, hurting innocent people to get the things that you want. And after this happens, Canute does start to have the curse of the crown, raiding villages and manipulating people to get exactly what he wanted. And I feel like this relates to Juice because Bishop seems to have his own curse of the crown, except, well, his crown's a gun. We get a small monologue from him during an argument that he is having with Q, where he talks about how he feels about the world. He makes these statements about being worthless and saying that he cares about no one, not his friends or himself.
You're right. I am crazy. But you know what else? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about Steel. And I don't give a fuck about Raheem either. I don't give a fuck about myself. Look, I ain't shit. I ain't never gonna be shit. And you less of a man than me, so as soon as I decide that you ain't gonna be shit, pow, so be it. You remember that, motherfucker. Cause I'm the one y'all need to be worried about.
And after this moment, I can firmly say that Bishop is the original crashout. Bishop clearly states his intentions to kill people around him, not caring about dying, about police, or any other factor that might stop him. And he is honestly an amazingly written antagonist. For the end of this film, I want to focus on our protagonist Q, who I feel is just as important to making this movie a classic as Bishop is. I feel like sometimes the antagonist is so great that they overshadow the main character, who is, well, just as great. The first thing that comes to mind is the anime Monster, that has not only one of the greatest villains in fiction, but also one of the greatest heroes. I think that Bishop hates Q so much because they are in the same situation and have to deal with growing up in the element of Harlem. Q was actually a man with goals, trying to get big as a DJ, and Bishop is in this cycle, constantly trying to put on this persona that he is the man with the juice. From the beginning, Q doesn't even want to be involved in these kind of activities, and on the other side, Bishop feels like he has to. After the events of Bishop killing Raheem, he thinks that he can boss Q and Steel around, but Q doesn't bow down to him like he expects him to, and I feel like this is the moment where Bishop is thinking about killing him too. After this is when Bishop almost gets jumped by the gang because he told the police that they were the ones who killed Raheem and the store clerk. Steel and Q spot him, but instead of trying to help him, they turn and walk the other way, and Bishop sees them right before they leave. The cops stop the gang, and when they all run away, Bishop chases down the leader and kills him. After this, Bishop starts to pop up at Steel's apartment like the boogeyman and forces him to come out and hang out with him. And at the same time, Q is out buying a gun for protection against Bishop. Q gets a call from Steel telling him to come help him because he is scared of Bishop, and while Q is on the way, Bishop shoots Steel.
See? That's what it's all about. See how scared you are? Don't you get tired of this shit? What the fuck you want from me? Nothing.
When Q gets there, there's already an ambulance taking Steel to the hospital, and that's when he decides that it's time to end things with Bishop. We get a scene that honestly surprises me when Q actually decides to throw his gun into the water, deciding that he doesn't need it, and that honestly shows the big difference between these two characters. Bishop sneaks out of the shadows and puts a gun to Q's head, and this leads to an action scene where Bishop is back on his Michael Myers, walking down Q as he shoots at him, while Q runs toward an apartment. Right before he thinks that he's escaped, Bishop Voorhees gets into an elevator with him and tries to shoot at him.
What you gonna do, shoot me in the elevator?
And thankfully, after this scuffle, he drops the gun and runs away onto the roof as Q chases after him. We get this amazing fight scene where they are really boxing each other, and we get to the end where Bishop almost falls off the roof and Q tries to save him. Bishop isn't able to hold on and ends up falling to his death. And you know, this ending really has me stumped because it kind of feels anticlimactic for Bishop to go out like that. Upon further research of the movie, I found out that there was a 25th anniversary version that adds an alternate ending, and it changes Bishop's death, where instead of him begging to be pulled up, he instead lets go on purpose, telling him that he's not going to jail.
Hold on, man. Come on, man. Help me out here, man. What you doing, man? Come on, pull up, B. Don't let go. I ain't going to jail. Come on, B, man. Don't punk out on me now. Come on, man.
This ending feels a little bit more fitting for someone like Bishop, since the death fits his philosophy of being in control of your own destiny, and he doesn't want to go to jail like his father did. But on the other hand, I feel like the ending they chose works amazing too, because it shows that the path he chose meant nothing in the end. In the final moments, Q walks back into the apartment and passes a group of people when someone drops the iconic line saying,
"You got the juice now, man."
And the film ends as Q looks at him in disgust and shakes his head. The end of Juice honestly feels really impactful, as the story that started as a coming of age hood film slowly becomes a cautionary tale that I feel is a huge critique of how black men are raised to believe that they must gain respect and power through some form of violence due to their environment that they grew up in. It also raises the question of how far you must take it to really gain this respect. And that all makes this film so much more than what I feel like this film is treated as. Films like Juice don't always get analyzed with the same depth and respect as other classic pieces of cinema. When we talk about great antagonists in film, characters with deep philosophical struggles that drive their actions, people bring up figures like Joker, Travis Bickle, and even Walter White. But Bishop, a character just as complex and thematically rich, often gets reduced to just another crazy villain in a hood movie. I wanted to cover this film because I think that there's so much more to Bishop than people give credit for. And there's more to Juice than just a crime story. It's a tragedy about power, insecurity, and self-destruction. I want to challenge how people look at black films like this, to show that they deserve the same level of analysis as any other great piece of cinema. The same way that you would look at me crazy for saying that I've never seen Breaking Bad is the same way that I would look at you for saying that you've never seen Atlanta. And that's just how it is. Now, to end this video off, I just want to say that if you made it this far, I just want to thank you so much. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment saying your thoughts and think about possibly subscribing. Where I'm at right now, I am trying to reach my goal of 500 subscribers. The last thing that I want to leave you with is that if you enjoyed my video on Juice, I want you to take some time out of your week and show some love to a black film. Love y'all, and see you next time. Peace out.
Raheem is dead. Somebody shot him.
Hey, just sit back and be cool.